Over the years, since Guardians first began defending the last city on Earth beneath the Traveler, many enemies have emerged. One of these was the Eliksni, or the Fallen, a group whose homeworld was destroyed because of the Traveler's departure. Now, although most of them are foes, some have turned the tides and allied with the Guardians and humans in a time of need. One of these was Mithrax the Forsaken. We've seen him through various missions since Destiny 2 came out, and even in secret missions going to the tower with 0 Hour and all that stuff. And another one of the most notorious of all actually, was Variks the Loyal. With the recent Europa trailer, we see Variks here, and he will have a part to play in the next big expansion releasing this November. So let's discuss a brief history on Variks, where he's been since Destiny 1, and how his actions may help us uncover the mystery of darkness plaguing one of Jupiter's moons.
They say Fallen are evil. No. Fallen are lost. Do you think the great machine has noticed what we did? Will it speak to me again? Tell me where the great Eliksni have gone? She will come back to us when she is ready to come back.
Variks the Loyal was a member of one of the fallen houses called the House of Judgment. Now, some of you may remember this little symbol from Destiny 1 that Variks always wore around and sometimes even talked about, but he was a part of this house in a time before the darkness, when the Fallen lived on their paradise homeworld called Rees. So the Fallen kinda had the same type of thing happen to them. The Traveler arrived, which sparked this huge golden age of advancement. They made spaceships, they conquered star systems, took over all these planets, and then an event in their lore called the whirlwind happened, which most likely was the darkness, the collapse, all that, and this forced the Traveler to flee, leaving the Fallen to perish in an apocalyptic pile of rubble. Now forced to do whatever it would take to survive, Variks traveled with many different fallen houses, which were now scattered and sometimes even at war with one another. During this time, Variks betrayed the Kell Skolas by contacting the Queen and her crows to put an end to an attack on Cybele. Around this time, Skolas, who is a Kell, the Fallen, one of the biggest of them all, was going after attacking different planets, trying to take over things, and Variks basically had enough. He turned on him, called the Queen and the crows the Awoken Aldrin, and they put a stop to it on Cybele. Now, this was most likely because Skolas had done many things out of hate to Variks. One of these included removing his arms, which he talked about if you hover around him in Destiny 1.
Are you staring at my arms, Guardian? Where Skolas cut me? Look away. Skolas once told me to stand still like you. Then he cut off my arms.
So after Variks alerted the crows and betrayed Skolas, he was found by the Queen, sort of just cowering in fear with no place to go. And so he became Variks the Loyal, House Judgment envoy to the Queen of the Awoken, Mara Sov.
They met that mercy with betrayal.
During the House of Wolves expansion, Skolas broke free, and many of the wolves would turn on the Awoken and side with the proclaimed Kell of Kells, trying to unite all of the Fallen under his own house. So of course there's a little bit more backstory to Variks with little details that you can find if you dig into the lore, but this was where we first were introduced to him in the game, the House of Wolves expansion that is. So in that DLC, he would guide us through the Prison of Elders and new activity, and also various missions to stop Skolas in his tracks, and also free the Awoken from this tragedy. During the Taken King, Variks wasn't really at the forefront. In fact, we didn't really see him at all, but he did have some small roles like sending us to take out some of the re-emerging enemies from the wolves. And this was also when he took control of Aldrin's crows, because everybody kind of thought he was dead after that opening cutscene, right?
Arrogant crow dies in little ship. What do I care?
Variks would once again use these crows during Rise of Iron and the Siva Crisis to alert us to learn more about what the heck was going on in the Plague Lands, and so on. So the point is, despite Variks being fallen, he's tried to help us many times, and one of the most important at all that kind of fell through was when the Red Legion invaded the city. So at that point in time, Variks was kind of still running things because Aldrin was gone. He was still at the Reef, and when these Cabal invaded the system, they knocked out communications basically everywhere. We even saw in that opening Destiny 2 cinematic, they say nothing's online, they can't really reach outside with any communications, the towers were off.
Maybe it's just the storm. Maybe it's... What are the set feeds telling us?
Nothing.
Well, that's good, right?
No. I mean, they're not there. There are no satellites.
And that's not good.
So the same kind of thing was going on with Variks. He was trying to reach the city saying, hey, these Cabal are coming, get all your stuff ready, and you'll be able to fight. But of course, that message couldn't get through. And of course, we saw how that turned out with the city getting destroyed. We then have Forsaken. Now a lot happened here. You can find all of the lore out there if you want, but I'm going to try and make it as short as possible. So Variks, who is still in charge, had begun seeing these new fallen Scorn being brought into his prison of elders by Cade and Petra. Sometime later, he even had a meeting with Cade and went out to the city to ask the Vanguard for help taking out Fikrul and controlling the Reef. That went okay, he kind of got in a little argument, but he also tried contacting the House of Kings to try and rebuild the Fallen, but here he learned that Fikrul and Aldrin had already killed the Kell previously. After much time talking to the Barons and the possessed Aldrin Sov who was in the Prison of Elders, Variks questioned everything up to this point. Is it right to continue following Mara? Should he be building something on his own and uniting the Fallen by himself? The day finally came when he shut down all security protocols and released control of the Prison of Elders, freeing many of the creatures and also Aldrin and the Barons.
No, no, no! Cade, he's gone! This isn't a prison riot! It's a prison break!
Announcing over the loudspeaker, Variks proclaimed himself the Kell of Kells, and that he would be the one to unite the Elixni people under the House of Judgment. It was his duty. Then he boarded a ship and disappeared, and that's all we really heard over the past couple of years. Alright, so that was a brief summary of the past. Like I said, there's more little lore things in there you can find yourself if you want. But let's talk about what we know on Europa. So first up, here's a look at the Europa map. Many different locations, and people are saying, man, this map is huge, which I'm sure it is. Destiny's locations are always pretty cool, but I'm not sure how you can judge by just that little map image right there. But anyway, at the top left we have the Eventide Ruins. It says, once home to thousands of settlers, and now all that remains of Clovis Bray's colony. We then have under that Cadmus Ridge, a snowy landscape and the last known locations of the buried Bray Exoscience facility. Then beyond, an old friend awaits us in this clearing that overlooks the conflict between light and dark, so I'm assuming the stranger. Asterian Abyss, the Vex structures visible on the surface are only the tip of the iceberg, so once again this map looks cool, there's a bunch of different locations, but we'll also be heading underground, so keep that in mind, there's probably much more to explore. And lastly we have Karen or Charon's Crossing, the site of Europa's communication center and the origin of the distress signals sent by Variks. We know that the main enemy is called Eramis, Kell of Darkness, and her new fallen along with her, the rag team of former houses that are now worshipping something from the darkness. They've all sort of banded together here on Europa to harness dark powers, secrets, and get revenge on humanity for the travelers' part in destroying their own homeworld. With this distress call sent by Variks, we are kind of unsure if it's because of Eramis and what she's doing with this dark power, or is it something else? But regardless, given Variks has helped us many times before, it could be safe to assume that it's the first one, right? That he's sort of helping us out again. In that trailer, his voice doesn't really sound like an enemy, maybe he's trying to throw us off, but at least that's my first reading of it.
What have you seen out there? Look beyond the frozen wasteland. Europa is a place of many mysteries. Do not lose your way.
Next, we see his appearance is also a little different from a couple of images, or one image we've seen. His design is basically the same, it's hard to see the colors, that's why I say it could be a little different. But we see the head markings from Destiny 1 maybe just changed a little bit, not too much. The robot arm is still in check, and it looks like he's still got that staff to walk around. So with the colors, not sure what it is, maybe he is trying to become this Kell of the House of Judgment and reunite things and the Fallen once and for all. But the big question, why is he on Europa? Now given Bungie leaves things very vague, which is kind of nice because we get to discover it for ourselves, it's kind of hard to tell. Perhaps he came here looking to meet with Eramis to unite the Fallen. It was like a business deal, he was going to see what's up, maybe merge her house and what he had together to create the House of Judgment, but once he learns of what's happening here with the darkness, he alerted the Guardians, like, yeah, this isn't right, come here, stop this, we need to put an end to all of this. But there's gotta be some important reason as to why they would bring him back. Given that he is fallen, he could know how to put an end to all of this madness, or maybe it's part of his own agenda. If we defeat Eramis, the House of Judgment might actually be able to rebuild and have one fallen house united living together, not two with the Darkness House, just the Judgment living together alongside humanity. Anyway, Guardians, that's all I can pick out from this video. Leave your thoughts down below. Variks is back, and we're going to see him in the new expansion Beyond Light in just over a month. I'm going to have some more videos out soon, including the connections between the Vex and the Exo also seen in this trailer, so if you'd like to see that, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, my name's Evade, and I'll catch you Guardians in the next one.